Okay, welcome folks to our session on ShotFlow and Looklit integration here at Summit 2021. I'm Eric Fulmer and very excited to be bringing the Looklit team in to this session, and I'm going to go ahead and bring them in right now and introduce the folks from Looklit. And this is a super exciting integration we're working on, something that no one's seen yet. So it's really exciting to be able to kind of sneak preview this, where we're going, and get feedback from potential clients and really kind of validate the direction that we're going. So this is a super special experience for us. So let me go ahead and bring in Feli and Einar just to introduce themselves from the Looklit team. So go ahead and say hello, Feli.
Hi everyone. Hi Eric. Super nice to be here. Super excited to be participating today.
And Einar, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey, Einar, I'm the VP product at Looklet. Also super excited to be here and showcasing what we're working on, getting feedback, as you said, Eric. It will be very interesting and exciting.
So to start out, of course, some folks probably don't know anything about Looklit. So we thought we would let you guys kind of give a little bit of an overview of Looklit, what it does, you know, who your clients are, kind of the value proposition. And then kind of as we move out of that, we'll move into the specific ShotFlow integration, kind of demonstrating that and how it works. So I'll go ahead and put Feli in the driver's seat here. You have your screen shared. I'll hide myself, turn my camera off, and Anna, we can turn your camera off as well, and give ourselves some more room on the screen. And go ahead and let Feli kind of get started talking through this. So I'll let you go ahead.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm Feli. I'm an account executive at Looklet. I've been working with the company for a little bit more than 3 years. And I have today with me Einar, of course, who is the VP product and who will be performing a live demo of the integration that we have in place with ShotFlow. But first, let me introduce you to who we are and what we do. So we are Looklet. We are based out of Sweden, in Stockholm, and we are a company that consists of creatives, photographers, stylists, and also tech developers that originally founded the company back in 2009. We digitize model photography to simplify and boost fashion e-com production. Our solution is an alternative way of shooting garments for high volume brands and retailers that are looking to automate their e-com operations. Something that is very important to remember and to mention is that everything that you see in our images is real fashion photography. This means that all the assets that you see now in the images have been photographed before and then digitized, and with assets, I'm referring to the garments, of course, but also the model faces that you see, the body movement, the scenes, the backgrounds, everything is real. And we continuously work on developing and perfecting our solution further. We take very seriously quality, photorealism. We work towards meeting very high standards of quality. So this is something that we always put a lot of focus on. So traditional photography for e-com shots have a lot of moving parts that unfortunately bring inefficiencies and challenges. At the same time, there is an increased importance for getting merchandise represented on the web quickly and cost efficiently. Some of the most common challenges that you probably are familiar with are, for example, having highly volatile production volumes, not having visibility on what you need to shoot, having difficulty sourcing models in the warehouse location, having to put a lot of time and effort on planning and coordination, and on top of this, of course, having cost pressure due to volatility and lower margins. So our solution was created to address, to the best we can, these type of challenges. We are solving problems that no one else solved before. So let me show you how we are transforming the fashion e-com photo production. So with hardware and software development, we deconstruct the creative process. We do this by separating the shooting from the outfitting. What is very unique about our approach is that, first of all, you shoot the garments not on a real person, but on a green mannequin, and you superimpose the model later. And second of all, you shoot the garments individually, one at a time, and you combine them into outfits in the styling software, where you combine all real assets that we photographed before. So for capturing the garments, we install a photo studio in a location of your choice, basically where you have your samples. This is typically in the warehouse or in the fulfillment center. No photographers or models are needed on site. You only need 1 to 2 stylists to operate the studio and to dress the mannequin. Our clients can shoot between 80 to 100 items per day, and they can easily scale up operations with predictable costs. All settings in the studio are fixed, they are predefined, and this means that the team that will be working in the studio don't have to have any previous knowledge in photography, as everything is preset. And by integrating with your system, you will be able to automate and monitor your production. On this topic, Einar will be performing the live demonstration of the integration that we have for data entry with ShotFlow. Once you finished shooting or capturing the images of your item, which can be in multiple variants and views, including as well ghost images and fabric details, if you want, you can do all of these within the same workflow. We will process your item images and return them to you for digital outfitting within 6 to 17 hours. During this set turnaround time, we can also do additional retouch should you need it, or of course, should your garments need it, for example, shortening or lengthening the items. So in the outfitting software is where your looks will come to life. Here is where you will combine the individual items into outfits, and you will choose the model face that you want to apply, which you can choose from like a growing library of models that are digitized and ready to use. We currently have more than 70 different models across categories. You can choose as well different body movements, backgrounds, crops, to create unique looks every time. Something that I didn't mention that it's important to clarify is that while the studio needs to have a physical location, the outfitting can be done from any location as long as you have an internet connection. So you can have the studio in your warehouse or in your fulfillment center, and then having your creatives working with the outfitting in a completely different office or even in a completely different city or country. The final images can be exported with metadata and in high resolution. Once you finish creating the looks, the final images will be exported to a location of your choice. And from there, they can be published online directly. This means that there is no post-production needed or any additional steps that you need to do. We can as well, for example, like resize your images or add padding, like anything that you need just to have your images like published online, like directly after finishing with the outfitting. So with Looklet, you can showcase your products on real models in every category. So you can actually shoot garments or items for women's wear, for men's wear, plus size, children's wear, and maternity. What is very special about our solution is that only with Looklet, you can update looks after the fact. So for example, inventory sells out, you can just replace with another item that you have in stock. Or, for example, is it the new season? Like, is it winter now or autumn? Well, you just can add a jacket to that look. Or would you like to maybe adjust and try to like boost sales? Maybe you can try with replacing the model. All these adjustments and all these changes can be done very, very quickly in the outfitting software. And the only thing you need to do is recall that image, restyle, export again, and then you have the new image updated to publish online. So no reshoots are needed, or you don't have to spend any additional time in the studio shooting the garments again. And just to, like, before I let Einar speak and do the demonstration, I just want to mention that we work with a wide range of multi-brand retailers and brands around the globe, totalizing in more than 60 studios, Looklet studios in action, which that produce more than 2 million images per year. We are like very, very proud and very happy of these long-lasting relationships, and we base our partnerships in trust and collaboration. We really listen to our clients. We take into considerations what they need and what their most urgent requirements are, and we adjust our product roadmap based on that to continue developing and continue building on whatever they might need. So yes, that is my part. Einar, you can go ahead and continue with the demonstration.
Yeah, I seem to have some issues sharing.
I know you can't, you couldn't share while Philly was sharing, but I think you should be okay sharing now. It wouldn't let you share while she's sharing. So let me see if I can remove that.
Now I can.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's just because she was sharing. So, and just before we jump in, Einar, I just want to make conversation, just a quick point of connection here. So, Looklit is a great example of a really dynamic, exciting technology tool that has no overlap at all with what we do in ShotFlow, right? These two things have no direct overlap. They're entirely complementary. And from our perspective, if ShotFlow's job is to become kind of the operating system for the studio, then the studio should be able to choose any kind of tool sets that they want to utilize in the studio. Is it Capture One, you know, on a machine typically, historically, with tethering? Great. But if it's a tool like Looklit that they want to enable, we should be able to say, we can just plug right into that, right? If it's Orbit View, which we'll talk about later today, we have a demonstration of that integration. In a word, we want to have drivers for every different tool that's out there. And that's really been a dream, but not anyone has really done it up to this point. So these tools have been very siloed. And our future is they can't be siloed. And so when we approached the Looklit team based on an existing client that had Looklit, it was also implementing ShotFlow, and they said, hey, you know, let's connect these together. What was really great was when we connected with your CEO, Jan, and that whole team, everybody's answer was, this is great, let's do this. And so we've used that opportunity now to take, instead of doing it just for one client, we want to do it in a way that we can support many clients. So very excited about that part. And I'll hand it off to Einar, and hopefully now I can add you back to the stream now. We can jump me back out and Feli back out and let you take over.
Let me just unmute. You are seeing my screen, right?
Yeah, we've got your screen. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's perfect. So obviously, we understand at Looklet that we're just one piece in a larger puzzle where we have production management systems, of course, PIMs, DAM systems, and we need to be able to integrate with all of these. Product information needs to flow seamlessly between all of these systems. And we need to reduce all of the manual inputs, all of the sort of shuffling around data manually from spreadsheets one to another. So we understand that, and we've built Looklet to be integration ready. So as you said, Eric, it was really exciting to be, when we started the conversation, we have powerful APIs already in place. We do custom integrations with existing clients. That is really successful, but it usually requires some work to get to know each other's systems, and it takes some time. And we do offer spreadsheet integrations as well, but we all know how messy that can be when you have a complex production and you have a growing sort of a need of updating those spreadsheets, etc. So we're super excited about the ShotFlow integration, where we can both pull data from ShotFlow and we can also push data back into ShotFlow, meaning that anyone who is using ShotFlow already can leverage their existing workflow within ShotFlow and getting started with minimal setup working with Looklet. So we build features on top of the data that we import. We can show instructions to the people working in the studio, what they are supposed to shoot, how they are supposed to shoot certain samples. We can, if you know already what kind of pairing you will do later in the outfitting, you can supply those SKUs as well. And then of course you can categorize using the data you import, and you can sort and filter by it. And also, of course, all of this data that we get integrated from ShotFlow together with the data that you create when working in Looklet is exported back as metadata when you export the final image. So we do export to all different cloud providers, SFTPs, and custom integrations there as well. And then one other part of this is, of course, having good insight into your production. Getting the data insights is critical. We have tools to monitor and quality control your production, looking at the images aggregated through all of the studios you have, and you can do that in real time. I will briefly show you that in just a second. And then you can also ingest this information, and this is something that we're building, and one of the factors that we want to get feedback, ingesting that back into ShotFlow so that you can monitor and look at the production in real time. And alongside that, we also offer production dashboards where you can get all of the data, who shot what, how many items were shot in that studio, getting statistics on all of the production in Looklet. So now I'm going into what I'm fearing the most, which is doing the live demos. We all know how that can go. This, as you see behind me, I'm in our studio here in our office, actually in Stockholm. And what you're seeing on the screen is our studio software. So this software is what controls the studio, controls the cameras, the lights, the rotating of the mannequin, and then also ingests all of the data coming through. So when I don't know if you see it, but I have a very oversized barcode here, and I have my barcode scanner. So when I scan that, we should be able to populate these fields coming directly from the ShotFlow system. Might need an update of this screen. Here it is. So here we get the integration results. We get the, you're supposed to shoot a front, a back, and a side view. You get the category, the designer, batches, which is a great way of sorting and organizing your production. This is the pre-styling feature where we know already what pairings should go with this particular tank top. And then we have a few custom properties. So the one that I just went through are important for Looklet to make the magic happen. But then we have a color coming from the system. We have, is this item in stock? If this information can be used to alert that you need to do a restyling because some styling item has gone out of stock. It can also warn you so that you don't use items that are out of stock, so you avoid publishing them on your website. And then season is also something coming in. And then once you have all of that data, you're ready to shoot. So you just shoot the item, it comes into this software, you turn the mannequin, you shoot the back side, and then basically you can go in, of course, and do all of the edits that you need, changing whatever you want, and then uploading these items. So once they are shot, they immediately enters the item reviewer, which is the software where you can review and monitor your production. So we have a lot of shots. This is, I shot this item a few days ago, so here it is. You can see that you have all of those properties that I just mentioned coming in from ShotFlow. And here you can review, see that you got all of the shots that were acquired. You can see that the data is in order. And if something is not to your liking, you can send that back to the studio. So this is a perfect tool for a studio manager or a head stylist to review everything before it goes further into the Looklet production. And just quickly, if there's time, I can show you also the look creator. So
yeah, we're plenty good on time. So just go ahead, Einar, and show us the whole story.
That's perfect. I really enjoy doing this. So once it's completed through the QC process that Philly mentioned, it enters the outfitting software. So this is the look creator. This is where you create the looks. You can see that you have the data that we imported. You can filter by that as well, and all other types of data, the batches, etc. So on the right-hand side, you have those pre-style items, the ones that we defined getting that data pulled from the system. So I can just go ahead and add those to the item. Maybe I want that open. We can change the model face. We can add variation. Let's see if I have any ones, or maybe we should add a pair of shoes. Let's go for these ones. So here you have the full library that you've shot in the past. So you can use all of those as styling items. And as I mentioned, if anything here would be out of stock, you can either remove it, or you can get alerted that don't use this item because it's out of stock. And you can do some changes to the posing as well. And as Philly mentioned, you can go ahead and you can create as many looks as you want. You can just duplicate that one, maybe create something completely different with, let's try to find that skirt that Philly showed before. And do some more variation. This one, you can see that she's changing the posing. We also have more variations with shoes, creating more variation. Let's see if I can find a good style. This is obviously not what I'm this is not part of my job, but I truly enjoy working in this tool. It's extremely exciting getting to see this and changing this. This is our part of our model library. So maybe that's where I'm happy. So now in the overview, we have two completely different looks. Let's change the background on this one as well. Maybe that one is a bit more exciting. So if I now go ahead and just export these ones, they are pushed through to the endpoint of the client's choice, alongside with all of the metadata for all of the different items in this look, together with the information about the model, the backgrounds, who shot it in the studio, who did the final export, and then all of the other types of images that you can shoot in the Looklit studios, the ghost image and the detail image. And before I hand over to Philly again, I can just quickly show you what the final image looks like. So this is after export. You end up with images in high resolution. With two totally different looks. So that's basically it. And all of this sort of getting the data in from ShotFlow, pushing that back, doing that with maintaining the workflow that the clients have already set up, just minimal configuration is something that I find really, really exciting. So with that, let's, maybe I should stop presenting, yeah. Or should I?
I've added Feely back in. So Feely, did you want to wrap up anything from the presentation?
Yes, let me just
I think
share
I was
my
supposed
screen again.
to continue sharing my screen, but I got carried
No
away.
problem. No problem.
No worries. And let me add Feely back in and get myself out. So go ahead, Feely.
Amazing. Yes, so just to like wrap up the presentation, I just want to say that we are bringing like a game-changing technology to the fashion e-com industry. Our solution automates, simplifies, and optimizes fashion e-com production, and we do this by helping reduce inefficiencies, boost productivity, and lower costs, without sacrificing the high quality that our clients and the end customers deserve. So that is everything we had in terms of the presentation, but we can open up for questions, Eric, if you would like.
Yes, I would like to open up to questions. So I'll put all three of us back in here, and you know, we can take questions from the audience. And I'll just, as we're waiting for those to come in, I think there's a great quote from Steve Jobs when he went to Xerox PARC, which was the lab where they were building mice and computers for the first time and doing networking for the first time, and all the things that were done before Apple became Apple. Before the whole world became mice and Windows and graphical user interface and networking and all of that. And he said once he saw that at the first time, he knew that was the future sort of computing, right? And I see these kinds of tools. It's quite clear to me this is where we're going as an industry. It doesn't mean it's right for everyone. It doesn't mean it's the perfect solve for everyone. And none of this is done, of course. I talked the other day about how we're all on kind of a journey. This is all fairly immature. It's very leading edge stuff, but it's out there and working in the real world. And the key for us is the partnership of working with clients to really understand, as Feely said, what do you actually need it to do, right? I mean, honestly, some people just watch this and were like, it blew their mind. I've never seen anything like it before. But once you get to that level, we call it give a mouse a cookie. Once that's working, it's going to be like, all right, now what's the next thing? What's the next thing? It's clear there's plenty here. There's a lot of depth for you to explore. And again, I think it really is a wonderful contrast to, you know, all of us have been looking at a tethered camera, tethered to Capture One for the last 15 years. You know, it works well for what it does, but it's entirely based on what's in front of the camera and our ability to use a raw editor like Capture One to tweak what's already there. And what we're seeing more and more is the post-production process. Someone said earlier was the bottleneck for everything. Post-production is a massive bottleneck right now. Remove the background, you know, do all those tricks, and again, also do all the retouching. And it's really starting to push the pressure on that post side, and the ability to just completely rethink this, right, from the top to the bottom, and just change, you know, the dynamic is just very exciting for us. So question came in, what data can I access in ShotFlow from Looklit? And I don't know, Einar, if you have any conversation on that yet, but I think we're still working on exactly what gets pushed back. But conceptually, you know, through that API push, we can get kind of almost anything back that we want. Any thoughts on that?
No, exactly. I mean, that's the configuration part of, and sort of for Looklet, we have a few things that are required that we need. We need the category. And well, that's basically it. The rest is sort of configurable. So any data that you have in ShotFlow, we have access to. So it's just a matter of finding out where should it go. Should it be a batch that we call it in the Looklet system, or should it be a custom property that we just pass through the system? So basically, any type of data is fine.
Well, this is where the flip side of our configuration comes in. The client may be saying, in the Looklit world, we have a concept of this, this, or this that doesn't currently have an equivalent in ShotFlow. We can just add fields for that as well, custom fields on our side. So I think it's coming down to, for the client, what data matters in both systems. Yeah. Maybe there is some data that only lives in Looklit and we just don't care that it ever goes outside that silo. There's other data that's in ShotFlow we don't care to go to Looklit. That really does come down to the client saying, where do we need to connect? And either tool can create those custom properties, and then we just exchange them right via the API. So it isn't literally like we do it, you know, on the fly at a given moment, but essentially client to client, I think there's a lot of configurability here. And we all wanted to make this, we all know how unique each client is, and we're not going to build something that is so locked down, you know, that you can't get the data that you need, because we all know the data is the key.
Yeah. And every client is different, so we need to be very open to doing those customizations. The good thing is that we know each other's APIs and we know how to get access to the data. So it's mainly a conversation about what data makes sense, how should we structure it within Looklet, how should we push it back so that it makes sense in the ShotFlow context. Yeah.
And we're early enough in this process that we don't yet know what those best practices are going to be. But when we do 10 clients, then you start to say, okay, you know, these are the usual things that we decided we need. So we've kind of standardized those. And then we still can always add the configurable ones. So as we go, we start adding in, oh, ShotFlow should always have a field for that because Looklit wants it. So we kind of put it in as a default. So it's in a way we kind of evolve, just like, you know, both tools, I think, where we really fit together well. Both tools recognize this is not an off-the-shelf piece of software that you just turn on and magically it works. It's all data-driven. The client's data models are different. And you guys have done a lot of work historically to kind of manually integrate to all that. We take a lot of that off your plate. But now you have to say, okay, ShotFlow, we need these 5 fields to do our work. And we have to go, okay, great. We map those from the PIM or from wherever we're going. So it starts to create an environment where instead of Looklit having to integrate to everything, ShotFlow can integrate to those sources. We sit in front of it, and then Looklit can sit behind ShotFlow, and it really starts to create more, because we got to do all that anyway, by the way. We're doing all that no matter what. So why do we both have to do it? It starts to create more efficiencies, and this is the same thing we'll see with any integration to any of these specialized capture tools, is that they no longer have to try to plug directly into 8 different sources of data. The thing that we're best at ShotFlow is manipulating all this data from 8 different places and spreadsheets and all these other places and getting it in there. Yeah. And then again, as a client, you decide what you want.
It removes a lot of headache from us. I mean, we want to focus on our core business. And something that you mentioned that I think is really great with our partnership is that, I mean, both of our companies are constantly evolving and we are adding more features as we go along. So we might want access to more data, and having that conversation and that sort of communication channel open is extremely valuable. so that we can get access when we create a feature like the pre-styling that we launched just some years ago, that we can get that started quickly with clients using ShotFlow, for instance.
Yeah, I think your point is great of clients want to know, what can you do for me today? How can I plug these two systems together today? But as developing, as constantly moving technology partners, we also have to look at, where are you going? Where do you want to be in 3 years? Where can we be at the same time? And it starts to challenge both of us to push harder and faster, to say, yeah, that we should be able to do that. You're right. And so it's a way of, it is about the culture of the company. And that's what I really liked about the Looklit partnership over the last year that we started to develop, is we think the same and we operate the same. And, as Felice said multiple times, you're being driven by your clients and it's not being developed in a vacuum. We're the same. So as we start crossing over those clients, I think it'll be pretty clear to all of us where we need to take this. So this is really, truly just the beginning. Obviously, this is a sneak peek. This is not on the market yet. We're getting closer by the day, but it's a little bit chicken egg, as you know, where we say to a client, okay, we've got all these capabilities. Is this ready to go? Or do you need us to do a little bit more? That's a dialogue more than it is, something that happens in a vacuum. We're going to be doing this in cooperation with those clients.
And continuing on that also with, when I'm reading this question, what can I access in ShotFlow from Looklit? And I think that's something that we've discovered and gotten from clients over the last year and more, is the need for metadata. And more and more, they want all of it. They want even more. So I think that being very agile in adding capabilities to push back even more data as soon as we have it will become really valuable and critical. And having that communication, not only sort of getting the data from ShotFlow, but also being able to push back relevant information is super exciting.
So yeah, for example, in ShotFlow, we have for every shot record, and which in this case is an angle for Looklit or needed, front, back, side, something like that. We have fields for how long did that take, for example, or how many captures did we do. Those came from the Capture One sort of world, like a more traditional world where we turn that shot on, we're working on it, we're shooting with it. But now we can look at what metrics matter from the Looklit side. We can even have custom fields in that shot that reflect data that Looklit pushed back, saying how many times did we restyle it, or I'm just making stuff up, right? But what do we do with it? How did we use it? And we connect that back. So in ShotFlow, we call it a grouping. You guys call it a look, for example, but we can pass that back through, right? Will style guides that live in ShotFlow show up in Looklit? Another great question. So we have a style guides capability where we can break all that apart. I don't think we've gotten yet to integrating those style guides into Looklit. I think that's another great next step, that we can look at, is how to pass those back and forth. Absolutely.
Sounds super interesting. Yeah. But that's the case also, as you're saying, Eric. I don't see any, we've done the hard part. We've gotten to know each other's systems. We have the channel open. We have the basic functionality in place. So adding more, it's a matter of figuring out how to display that in a good way in Looklit, more than sort of getting that data. So interesting.
So we just did style guides in the last year with ShotFlow, where we kind of rip apart the big PDF and we break it down into small chunks, right? So now every style guide is an individual object, and it can be related to the product, it can be related to the shot, it can be related to both, it can be related to the grouping, right, or the look in this case. So it's all there, to your point, but you can then start saying, okay, now I'm going to query back further and say, is there a style guide for this? And if so, pull it across. So again, I think this is a case of, it's not going to be everything everybody wants out of the gate, for sure. It's going to be starting with this baseline and then really working with clients to say, we can do all these things, right? This is what the great thing about technology. We can do all of it, we can't do it all today. So in what order do we do it? What's the most important thing? That's the dialogue we're looking for with clients, to try to prioritize, I think, what those data exchanges are. But yeah, through the API, you can get anything you want from us, and in theory, we can push anything we want to you. Now, what specifically do we need to get to that next step? And I think it will be working with clients to actually shoot Looklit with ShotFlow, right? And kind of pilot that, and then coming back and saying, these are the next big 3 that we want, and we can start prioritizing those.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Did you have anything else to add, either Philly or Einar, that you wanted to touch on that we haven't spoken about so far? Any other questions from the audience, maybe before we wrap up the session? Fernando's very excited. So he's strangely enough, he's one of those people that's like standing there saying, okay, now when do I get this? Which is what we want, right? That's what drives the train, right? I think one of the things we all are challenged by is, you guys have a very interesting perspective in the Looklit world on what your clients do. We have a perspective that we learn from our clients, but none of us are on the ground doing this every day. None of us are actually doing the work. So it's so valuable that we can work with a Fernando directly and say, okay, you're standing on the ground doing this every day. ShotFlow here, Looklit here. Okay, now where do we need to go? And ultimately, we will not come up with those answers again ourselves. We will come up with those answers. And there's the smiley face. We'll come up with those answers in cooperation with Fernando and teams like his. So we're very excited to have been able to show this today. I'm glad the technology part all worked. I know he's like doing the whoop. Well, the demo got done. That's always good. And it was just great having both of you, and it's great having this partnership really start to take shape. And so we're really excited about it and really appreciate Looklit's participation in Summit. And hopefully next year we're showing all the cool stuff we did in the year, in between, and the year after that. So we're really excited to begin this journey together.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks to both of you. All right, speak soon.
Okay.
Have a great night, everyone.
Bye.